Ladies and gentlemen, if a picture could tell 1,000 words, what do y'all think this picture would say about the individual that you see on my screen? This man has probably topped one of the weirdest, craziest, most bizarre lists. If I had to pick like a story that I'm just like, did I hear that right? This would be one of them. Let me explain to you guys, and let me forewarn you. This story, you're going to hear some very graphic details. I'm going to say some things also that are not going to sit well with your sensibilities. Some of the pictures that will be blurred out to protect the victim in this story, but those pictures still might bother you because you're going to get an image in your head. So if you can't handle that, I understand if you need to exit the video. But I'm warning you guys, the details are going to be very graphic. So for everybody who is okay with that and can at least hear this baby boy's story, I want y'all to listen at what happened. There's a man that was arrested because initially they couldn't even find this dude. But he was arrested by police Tuesday, and he is accused of abducting and sexually assaulting and then shooting a 12-year-old boy, and the 12-year-old boy snuck out of his home so he could go over a friend's house in Florida. A 12-year-old boy, and I'm going to tell you guys, I can actually relate to this because I had some strict parents, and I don't know if you guys had strict parents or not, but I did, and my dad used to work really late, so it was just my mom there sometimes, and I'd want to get out the house. Like, I didn't want to be stuck. Maybe I want to go hang with a friend, go see a buddy, play some video games or something, even though we weren't supposed to leave. Now, as I got older, when I was able to drive at about 16 years old, oh, I was definitely sneaking out. I was definitely sneaking out, and I got to just say, I thank the man above for keeping my black behind out of some very serious trouble that I could have got in. I'll tell you that. Because there were a lot of times when I was a hard-headed kid, and when they say a hard head can lead to some bad outcomes. And in this situation, this boy snuck out to go see a friend, and he almost met his demise, but what he went through was even worse. Police said that they arrested the man who is this guy. His name is Alex Santiesteban. Alex Santiesteban, who is 43 years old, and they arrested him Tuesday, and he is charged with sexual battery, with a deadly weapon and serious injury, and kidnapping a child under the age of 13 years old, and attempted murder. Keep in mind, this is a 12-year-old boy. For those who think that boys are in the sex, what do they call that? Sex trafficking. For those who believe that boys don't get raped, they don't happen to boys, it's only a thing that happens to girls. For those who believe that, not only is that so far from the truth, but this is a story that actually proves that this type of thing does happen to boys, and it's such a disgusting thing. There was a passerby who saw the boy wandering along a street before 3 a.m. on Saturday, and they called the police. The boy later told police that he heard a loud bang and was pushed out of a car. He had been shot in the jaw and was temporarily blinded. He lost his sight, and he was using his touch to try to find his way around to seek help. And that's according to Miami-Dade detective Alvaro Zabet. According to the police, excuse me, I can't pronounce that dude's name. The Good Samaritan, who told the television stations not to identify him by his full name, was recorded on surveillance video escorting the boy who was crying and escorted him into a food mart to get help. He was screaming, "Help me, please, somebody help me." So I brought him to the store where they could call police, the man told the television stations. So here's what you guys need to know about that, because some of y'all might be wondering why he didn't do more or why he didn't call the police immediately. The reason for that is because this dude honestly looks like he's a homeless man, and he probably doesn't have any type of means and probably doesn't even own a cell phone. You will see that from the video, because they actually did an interview with the guy who looks homeless. I could be wrong. Maybe he's a completely normal guy. But anyway, the investigator said that they had placed pillows into his to his bed to trick his parents into thinking he was asleep before leaving the house on Friday night. He said he walked to a friend's house about 2 miles away. He was on his way home when he was forced into a car, according to police. The boy told investigators that he tried to get out of the car, but the car's child locks were engaged. An arrest report said that Santi Esteban, that guy, and I want y'all to look at his face, like he literally looks like if you took out like one of those Cool Ranch Dorito chips, and if you put some hair on it, like some fluffy hair on it, that's what he looks like. He literally looks like a Cool Ranch Dorito chip face looking ass. He pulled the boy inside the car onto a roadside swale in the Brownsville neighborhood near Miami and forced the boy into the back seat where he assaulted him. Police said that a brief struggle ensued and Santi Esteban shot the boy in the face with a gun. Shot him in the face. Santi Esteban denied the accusations, and it's not clear whether he has an attorney. Now, investigators had sought help from anyone in the area with surveillance video before the arrest. The police pleaded for more information. If this individual is so brazen to do this, God only knows what else he's willing to do. The longer this individual is out there, the longer that our children in that area are not safe. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and let me let you take a look at the news videos. And I want to remind you guys that the details are going to be shocking. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I actually have to agree with that. He did kind of look like Sideshow Bob. But let's take a look at this. Let's go.
Right now at 5, a CBS 4 News safety alert. A 12-year-old boy is recovering after police say he was abducted, assaulted, and then shot. Police say this happened between 2 and 3:30 in the morning on Saturday when the boy was walking in Miami's Brownsville neighborhood.
Now, police say the child's attacker is still out there. The boy remains in the hospital, and we want to warn you, the video of the story is difficult to watch. CBS 4's Ted Scouten is live for us in Brownsville where the terrifying scene unfolded. Ted?
Yeah, Elliot and Carly, we're learning new information today. First news that we learned is good news in this situation. His injuries are not life-threatening. That's what police told us earlier today. Now, it was right back here in this empty lot where police say that attack happened, and it was several hours after detectives say he snuck out of his house. It's difficult to watch as we see a bloody 12-year-old stumble. Police say he had just been kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and shot in the face when he made his way to this Brownsville convenience store.
I couldn't sleep at all that night.
Johnny is the one who found the child. He's the guy on the bike. He was leading the young boy to the store to get help.
Now, I don't want to disparage this old guy, But Lord have mercy, man. This is like worst case scenario. And I want y'all to notice that it don't seem like anybody was in a rush to try to help this boy. Look at this.
Kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and shot in the face when he made his way to this Brownsville convenience store.
I couldn't.
This is the guy who saved him. This guy is a good guy. I guess you can call him the hero in this situation. But clearly, it was only so much he was going to be able to contribute. Just sad all the way around. I don't mean to be disparaging to him, but Lord have mercy.
Sleep at all that night.
Johnny is the one who found the child. He's the guy on the bike. He was leading the young boy to the store to get help.
He was screaming, help, somebody help me, please, please, please. So I brought him to the store where they could call the police for him, you know. He was conscious. He fell on the sidewalk, and he said he had been shot.
You can see the child reaching out to steady himself on the garbage can, then falling to the ground. Police tell us he was not able to see after his attack. It happened just blocks away, between 2 and 3.
It just don't seem like anybody cared. And again, to answer the question, people are asking, why did he sneak out of the house? He went to go to a friend's house. A lot of us have been rebellious as kids and tried to sneak out of the house for whatever reason. I think the majority of us have done that. I say at least 50% of kids, especially if you're close to being a teenager, we've all snuck out of the house. Is that fair of me to say? I think that's fair.
3:30 in the morning on Saturday. Detectives say the 12-year-old snuck out of his house to visit friends when a man in a black four-door with a gun grabbed him at Northwest 43rd Terrace and 30th Avenue.
He says the driver got off, walked up to him, and that's when grabbed him and forced him inside of the vehicle. Once he was inside the vehicle, he tried to get out, but the child locks were activated and he couldn't open the doors.
Police say he was driven to this empty lot at Northwest 45th Street and 31st Avenue, where he was sexually assaulted and shot inside the car.
The young boy was trying to fight him off. During the struggle and the fight, he hears a loud noise. He didn't even say bang. He just said he heard a really loud pop. And when he heard that pop, that's when he noted the subject opens the door, pushes him out of the car.
At that point, police say he could not see, so he began to wander, guiding himself by touch, looking for help. That's when Johnny found him, and he got the help he needed.
That bullet would have gone a millimeter in either direction, and this boy would have lost his life right there on that scene.
And tonight, that attacker is still out there. Investigators need your help on this one. They don't have a lot to go on, except that he is a tall man with curly hair who is in a black four-door sedan. If you have any information that can help, give Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers a call. That number is 305-471-TIPS. Live in Brownsville, Ted Scout, CBS 4 News.
You'll only see on Local 10 News, a 12-year-old boy collapses moments after police say he was abducted, raped, and then shot. The attack happened early Saturday morning.
And while that boy recovers in the hospital, investigators are on the hunt for who did this. And Local 10's Terrell Fournay is live in Northwest Miami-Dade with this safety alert. Terrell, just awful.
And again, I don't want to make the people who were out there in this situation was dumped onto their lap feel bad, like the gentleman in the yellow shirt. But I got to tell y'all, man, I think it's really sad. And thank you, Dre the Dream, for even bringing that up. That nobody attempted any type of medical anything. I mean, to try to just check on him. It just seemed like people were just standing around and just looking. I don't know. I don't really know what you're supposed to do, but it just don't seem like people were quick to try to help, in my opinion. But watch these videos. They're going to be a little hard to watch. Here we go.
And this story is just disturbing on just about every level you can imagine. But this is the market where that boy literally collapsed as bystanders rushed in, called 911 to do what they could to save this 12-year-old. We've blurred his face because of the sensitive nature of the crime, but you can clearly see the moment when a critically injured 12-year-old boy collapses to the ground after enduring a terrifying and brutal ordeal.
But I only saw him. He was screaming, help, somebody help me, please, please, please. So I brought him to the store where they could call the police for him, you know.
This Good Samaritan, who only wants to go by his first name, Johnny, is actually seen on that surveillance video on a bike escorting the bleeding boy to the Foodland Market at Northwest 47th Street and 37th Avenue. This was early Saturday morning in the overnight hours.
He was conscious. He fell on the sidewalk, and he said he had been shot. That was all.
This old guy, I understand. I mean, you could just look at him and we understand. It wasn't much he was going to be able to do. He did what he could. Pat on the back, whatever. But the other guy, anybody else around, it just don't seem like they were quick to try to jump in. By the way, if you guys are watching, don't forget, please click the thumbs up. Our goal is always about 600 thumbs up. If we can get there, it's a very simple, easy thing to do to try to help spread awareness about this, okay? Because I want y'all to remember that it's more people out there that's just like this, so we got to be able to talk about these stories and spread this news, okay? We got to do right by our children. So let's spread these stories, okay?
All I know.
Police tell Local 10 earlier that morning the child was walking near Northwest 47th Terrace and 30th Avenue when he was abducted, forced into a black four-door sedan. The 12-year-old boy told detectives he was then sexually assaulted by the man and then shot before being pushed out of that car around Northwest 45th Street and 31st Avenue. As the boy stumbled away for help, this is when he apparently encountered Johnny. What else was he saying?
Help, help. He was just screaming help. Help. He was calling at everybody gate around the corner there. So I brought him. I say, well, follow me to the store. You know, I didn't have a phone.
The surveillance video shows witnesses calling 911 and giving the boy a bottled water. Moments later, police and paramedics.
They just walk out and give him a bottle of water? He's been sexually assaulted and shot in the face with a gun. He's walking around with only his underwear and a t-shirt, blood all over his legs, and even so it's not just the man now in the yellow shirt, now it's a woman in the pink shirt, and she walks out and gives him a bottle of freaking water. Oh my goodness. I just want to ask a question out of fairness. Would these people have behaved any different if it were a 12-year-old girl as opposed to a 12-year-old boy? I'm just asking a question. And you guys can be as honest as you want. They gave him an effing bottle. He's shot in the face. He's clearly suffered trauma. He fell down, couldn't stand, couldn't talk. And we're just like, here's a bottle of water, shake it off. I'm sorry, and I know I'm being a little bit harsh to judge these people because they're just bystanders, but damn, come on, Americans. We're Americans. We're Americans first. Can y'all post that in the chat? We're Americans first. We got to start caring about our own, period. It don't matter what color the kid is, what sex, what race the kid is. Come on, man.
The surveillance video shows witnesses.
And it's wound, not womb, not W-O-M-B, wound, W-O-U-N-D, wound. Apply pressure to the wound.
Calling 911.
Nobody did it. Look at this. That's so sad to see that.
Giving the boy a bottled water. Moments later, police and paramedics are seen arriving to that corner store. One officer helps the child to a gurney before he is whisked away to the hospital.
When they told me it was a little boy, it's awful. It's like, but that's sick. You know, so whoever did it, they just need to just turn themselves in. You know, because that's not right. That's not right. He's a child. Like, you don't do that.
And a child who collapsed right here, we understand, is in critical condition in the hospital. This is now a major investigation by the Miami-Dade Police Department.
And now to a disturbing safety alert. An intense search is underway right now for the man who sexually assaulted and shot a little boy. Surveillance video showing that child collapsing
Look at how he
moments
fell.
after that attack. and the victim only 12 years old.
And the person responsible for this despicable crime is still on the loose. Local 10's Trent Kelly is live at Jackson Memorial Hospital where the boy is recovering.
You give him a bottle of water. Like what in the hell is he supposed to do with that? You give him a bottle of water. You might as well go get him a candy bar then. Am I being too mean? If I'm being too mean, let me know and I'll just try to just let the video play.
At this hour, Trent.
Might as well go get him a goddamn burger and fries.
Well, Alexis, we know the victim in all of this was last listed in critical condition here at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Despite surviving that vicious attack early Saturday, he still had to flag down a Good Samaritan in the area just to get some help. Now the search continues this afternoon for any sign of the man who attacked that boy.
A 12-year-old boy assaulted and shot before collapsing over the weekend, continuing to recover in the hospital. His life likely saved by a Good Samaritan.
He was conscious. He fell on the sidewalk, and he said he had been shot. That was all I know.
This man, who only goes by Johnny, says he found the young boy wandering alone and crying early Saturday, blocks away from the Foodland Market on Northwest 37th Avenue and 47th Street.
Just screaming, help, somebody help me, please, please, please. So I bring him to the store where they could call the police for him, you know.
And I know some people might not understand my perspective, but I think I'm just a little bit different. And let me explain why. Because I never ask people to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I want y'all to understand, I'm that kind of parent. Okay? I'm the type of parent that would literally, when they talk about giving the shirt off of my back, I remember a long time ago, I can't remember who it was, but I was visiting a friend and a lady had fell down some stairs, not far, but she fell just far enough, a few flights, not a few flights, but a few steps. She fell a few steps, hit the ground, and busted her head, and her head was bleeding. I literally took the shirt off my back and put it on her head, administered pressure, and immediately called 911 and stayed there with her all the way through up until they put her on the gurney and put her inside the ambulance. And I stayed there and I waited to get at least somewhat of a diagnosis to see if she was going to be okay. I'm just that type of person. So I'm sorry if I may be expecting other people to be that way. But like I said, I think I would want that to happen for me, for my kid, for anybody's kid. You know, if you see something, definitely say something. But I just wish that they would have showed a little more concern. That's all I'm saying. So I'm sorry if I offended some of y'all.
To investigators, the child was initially walking in the area when he was abducted by a man who forced him into a black four-door sedan. At some point, the victim says he was sexually assaulted right before the stranger pulled out a gun and shot him. The boy eventually forced out of the car and was later found stumbling around for help. This surveillance video from the food market shows witnesses coming to the boy's aid and offering him water.
But then again, I'm the type of guy, and you guys can actually scroll back on my Instagram and see it. There was, in Oklahoma City, there was like a 7-car highway accident where a woman had got drunk and drove the wrong way, which I noticed now because I finally found out what actually happened because the case is finally closed and they were able to tell me. But she got onto the highway and drove backwards and hit somebody head first and caused a huge pileup in the middle of the night on the highway. And as soon as I came up on it, everybody else just pulled to the side and they just stopped and they were looking. I parked my car, got out, and immediately started going to cars to get people out of the cars or to try to administer some type of aid, anything, something, to check and make sure that they were okay. And we ended up saving a couple of people's lives. One lady in particular. And I've kept in touch with that lawyer and those people. I think that was like maybe 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. But I'm that type of dude. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid. I don't know.
Within minutes, both police and paramedics arrive, with one officer helping the child onto a gurney before taking him to the hospital. The sickening crime leaving neighbors in shock.
Sick, so whoever did it, they just need to just turn themselves in, because that's not right. That's not right. He's a child.
Julie, we do have new developments on the safety alert involving the rape and shooting of a 12-year-old boy.
Police did make an arrest late last night. Local 10's Annalise Garcia joining us live from Miami right now with what we know about this suspect. Annalise.
JC, Eric, this 12-year-old boy is here at Jackson Memorial Hospital recovering, and police are releasing the identity of this man this morning. Let's take you to his mug shot. This is 43-year-old Alex Santiesteban. He's facing charges of sexual battery with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. Now let's take you to some video of him being taken into custody at TGK. Santiesteban is accused of raping the boy.
So just so you guys know, they did actually arrest him. So here it is.
This is 43-year-old Alex Santiesteban. He's facing charges of sexual battery with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. Now let's take you to some video of him being taken into custody at TGK. Santiesteban is accused of raping the boy, then shooting him and leaving him bloodied, begging for help. Now investigators say that boy snuck out of his home late Friday night to go to a friend's house, and on his way back home around 3 a.m. is when a stranger forced him into a car near Northwest 43rd Terrace and 30th Avenue. You can see in this video how the boy collapses as he waits for police and his legs.
And I got to give a shout out to the Latin community and the Latin news teams, because I couldn't understand none of their websites or none of their YouTube videos, but they did come out and speak out against this. So I got to give them a huge thumbs up, and I shout them out and I thank them for speaking out and saying something. I'm glad for that.
With blood stains on them. Now police say it is a miracle that this boy is alive as he...
We begin with some new details here about the search for whoever abducted, sexually assaulted. And
they've already caught him, so let me skip that.
A break in the case after a horrific crime. This man is now in custody in connection with the abduction, the sexual assault, and the shooting of a 12-year-old little boy.
The brutal attack happened over the weekend in Northwest Miami-Dade, and the child remains hospitalized today. Miami-Dade police just held a news conference following the arrest.
And Local 10 News reporter Annalise Garcia is live outside the police headquarters in Doral with more. Annalise.
Christy Janice, the director of Miami-Dade Police, spoke along with a major for the Special Victims Unit. They discussed what it took to take down the suspect of this heinous crime. 43-year-old Alex Santiesteban, accused of raping a 12-year-old boy, then shooting him in the face, leaving him with blood all over his body, begging for help.
This child has suffered physical and emotional trauma that will take years to overcome.
Investigators say the boy snuck out of his home to go to a friend's house late Friday night. Around 3 a.m. Saturday is when a stranger approached him in his car and forced the boy to get in. Police tell us he tried to get out, but the child locks were activated. The subject drove to the area of Northwest 45th Street and 31st Avenue. Police say Santiesteban parked and raped the boy in the back seat. The report says there was then a struggle between the two. That's when the suspect fired his gun.
The subject then dumped the victim out of the vehicle, essentially leaving him for dead.
In these images, you see the boy collapsing with blood on his legs just after he had been hit by a bullet as he waited for police. This Good Samaritan tells us moments before this, the boy was screaming for help.
He was just screaming help. Help. He was calling at everybody's gate around the corner there.
Johnny is the man seen here on a bike. He helped the victim get to the corner store where others called 911. Major Brian Rafke calling Johnny a hero.
He took this young victim to a nearby convenience store. He was able to summon assistance, which ultimately saved his life.
Major Rafke says Santiesteban was identified and arrested thanks to a series of leads and evidence.
The DNA evidence, we were able to put the subject with the victim.
Cameras were rolling.
So they have DNA evidence. Man.
Santiesteban was taken into custody at TGK late last night. He's now facing charges of sexual battery with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and kidnapping. And right now you're looking at video of officers getting to the suspect's apartment building today. This was about an hour ago. Also, crime scene techs arriving as well. Now, when Santi Esteban was arrested, police tell us that they recovered a firearm and the vehicle in question, so where this rape allegedly happened. They also tell us that the suspect is denying these allegations. As for that little boy, he's still recovering in the hospital.
I hope that boy testifies to the fullest extent and gives every bit of detail and gets that dude convicted. And I'm going to tell y'all, he survived, and I hope he grows up, and I hope he turns into a big bodybuilder or whatever the case is, this young 12-year-old boy. And man, if it was me, I would hope to never see that dude ever again in life, because I couldn't promise you what I would do. I hope he don't do nothing. I hope he can find some forgiveness in his heart and get some therapy. This 12-year-old boy is going to need therapy. Let me not even put that in the atmosphere. I was wrong for doing that, but that would put so much rage in my heart. I'm sorry.
Miami-Dade's police director calls him the face of evil tonight.
I wonder why bad stuff happened to these people in jail. Oh, they gonna have a field day on that fool right there.
What happened the night police say he abducted, raped, and shot a boy. The details alleged in the arrest form are heinous and disturbing. And a police source tells CBS 4 News it did not all go according to the attacker's plans.
So a second bizarre incident took place after the young victim escaped and collapsed while waiting for help. CBS 4's Carly Barnett is live in Miami with the new details tonight. Carly?
Elliot, Lauren, that boy is still recovering here at the hospital tonight, but police say the man accused of these heinous crimes against the child is sitting in jail with no bond tonight. Now, that is despite the lengths that a source tells us exclusively that the suspect went to try to cover up his alleged crimes.
This individual poses a great danger to children in our community.
The man accused of kidnapping, sexually assaulting, and shooting a 12-year-old boy faced a judge Tuesday.
It's awful. It's awful. Thank God he's found, because I'm afraid.
Neighbors horrified to learn a man charged with kidnapping, sexual battery, and attempted murder of a child lived there.
I got scared. Like, he lives in the same complex that I live in. There's kids in here, too.
Monday night, 43-year-old Alex Santi Esteban was arrested from his third-floor apartment in the Island Living Complex in Miami.
I used to go out overnight, and I used to see the guy come, like, walk around. Yeah. Had a very creepy face.
Miami-Dade police say around 3 a.m. Saturday in Brownsville, a boy had snuck out to see his friends. According to the arrest report, Santi Esteban pulled up and forced him into the backseat of a car, sexually assaulted him, and shot him.
Well, he tried to get out, but the child locks were activated.
A source close to the investigation sheds more light on what transpired, saying Santi Esteban grabbed the child from behind, and while he held one hand over the child's mouth, he used the other to shoot the boy. The bullet went through the child's face and came out, striking Santi Esteban in the hand as well. After the attack in Miami around...
So even with that evidence, he's still trying to deny that he was involved. He ended up shooting himself in the hand, and yet they had to bandage his hand up, and he's still going to deny it. And he's a freaking liar. Oh my goodness, boy. Boy, I hope they do some terrible stuff to him in prison.
And as well. After the attack in Miami around 4 a.m., Santi Esteban went to Miami Beach and called police, claiming to have been the victim of an armed robbery and was injured in the hand. Miami Beach police say he was unable to provide a location or a subject description. The source says this may have been his attempt to establish an alibi regarding why his hand was injured. But people who live in the neighborhood where the attack happened say even though he's off the streets, the damage has been done.
Unfortunately, we're hearing gunshots, people getting killed. These things are happening way too frequently here where we live.
Our news partners at the Miami Herald say Santi Esteban's blood was found splashed on the child, and that is how they received his DNA. They also found blood in the car. Now, after first denying the accusation, Santi Esteban later admitted that the child was in the car, but said it was because the child was trying to carjack him. The hospital said they are not giving an up.
Wow. Did y'all hear that? Y'all hear how he tried to twist this and point it back at the 12-year-old boy who was walking to a friend's house, which is totally believable because a lot of us tried to sneak out of the house as kids to go to our friend's house and go kick it and hang out. He tried to say that this 12-year-old boy tried to carjack him. Come on, fool. Come on.
First denying the accusation, Santi Esteban later admitted that the child was in the car, but said it was because the child was trying to carjack him. The hospital said they are not giving an update on the child's condition at this.
So the boy got never mind.
Splashed on the child, and that is how they received his DNA. They also found blood in the car. Now, after first denying the accusation, Santi Esteban later admitted that the child was in the car, but said it was because the child was trying to carjack him.
Hashtag kids don't lie. Kids don't lie. And it don't mean that children don't tell lies. What it means is that most time babies and children won't lie until people teach them the value of lying. So there is a less likelihood that a child will lie. That's what hashtag babies don't lie, hashtag kids don't lie. That's what that means.
The hospital said they are not giving an update on the child's condition at this time, but police have said that he has a long road of recovery ahead. Live outside.
Major break in the case after a 12-year-old boy was abducted, sexually assaulted, and then shot.
The violent.
We only got a couple more news videos. I like to try to show you guys different perspectives because sometimes each of these videos will give you a little bit more information than the other. So I'm going to show two more and then we'll close out with this one.
Attack sending shockwaves across the community. Local 10's Christian De La Rosa is live in Miami with what we've just learned. Christian.
Well, a source with the Miami-Dade Police Department telling us that a man is now in custody in connection to the case of this child that was raped and shot. In the meantime, that boy is still here at JMH recovering from all the trauma he endured, not to mention a bullet that went in through his jaw and out the back of his head.
Oh my God. Okay, so I didn't even know that. So he tried to kill this boy straight up and down. And it just happened to go out a different route out of his body. Listen at this again.
Endured, not to mention a bullet that went in through his jaw and out the back of his head. And shot. In the meantime, that boy is still here at JMH recovering from all the trauma he endured, not to mention a bullet that went in through his jaw and out the back of his head.
That ain't nothing but God. That ain't nothing but divine intervention. That boy is so lucky. He is so lucky. Wow.
A 12-year-old lays raped, shot, bloodied, and begging for help. Investigators say the boy snuck out of his home late Friday night to go to a friend's house. And on his way back home around 2 a.m. Saturday, a stranger pulled him into a black car near 43rd Terrace and 30th Avenue.
Once he was inside the vehicle, he tried to get out, but the child locks were activated.
Police say not too far away on Northwest 45th Street and 31st Avenue is where the vehicle was seen parked, and the driver, a man, raped the child. It happened right behind Iqbal Akhtar's house. He says his neighborhood is plagued with disturbing crime.
It's very, very unfortunate, but unfortunately not uncommon.
And just down the block from where police say the child was raped, this pile of trash is where detectives say the child was found thrown out of the vehicle after being shot in the face. Detective Adalberto Fuentes.
And he could not see, so he was attempting to try to find some type of help.
Bloodstains show the boy's desperate struggle for help.
He was just screaming help. help. He was calling at everybody's gate around the corner there.
This man is the neighbor seen guiding the child to this corner store up the block where Good Samaritans called 911. And thank goodness for those Good Samaritans who stepped in and got this child the help that he needed. Again, developing tonight, a source with the Miami-Dade Police Department telling Local 10 News, confirming that a man has been taken into custody in connection to the rape and shooting of this 12-year-old boy. As soon as we get an identification, we will bring it to you live.
That important safety alert, an intense search underway for the man who sexually assaulted.
All right, we'll skip this one because we already know his identity. Let me get his face back up on the screen. That guy, let me see if I can find one that has his name. Let me see if I can get that up here for you. Let's see here. Maybe not. I'm having some issues here. Let me see if I can get it up. Right there, Alex Santiesteban. This is the man, and I promise you guys, I hope that they prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. I hope they put him in general population, Gen Pop, and I hope that they just let this dude have it every single day. I hope that he suffers for many, many years, and that they just continue to just make every breath of his a suffering one. For what he did to that 12-year-old boy who couldn't defend himself. But let me also say this. We've all been kids at one point. We've all snuck out of the house. I'm not going to condemn that 12-year-old boy for doing that. A lot of us are rebellious as kids, and this is one of those dangers that are out there. You have these thugs, you have these creeps, you have these rapists, you have these child murderers, these sex offenders, and all of this stuff out there, and you have no way of being able to protect yourself. And I'm gonna tell you guys, it's not only dangerous for grown women, it's dangerous for grown men to be out there on those streets, let alone a 12-year-old boy who can't really physically defend himself properly. So again, you know, as much as I could say, I guess I'm gonna just reserve my comments about what I had to say about the people who were bystanders, and just put a prayer hands up in the chat that I hope the boy makes a full recovery. I hope he is able to see. I hope he is able to walk. I hope he's able to live a full life. And I hope that he's able to convict this guy based on his testimony and give them as much evidence as they need to convict Alex Esta, whatever the hell his name is. Okay? So put a prayer hands up in the chat. And let's just pray for a full recovery, okay? I'm DJ Just J. We're going to continue to be advocates for children first. And we're going to get these thugs out of here, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening with an open mind and an open heart.